What's going on, folks? Today, I was able to have a rocking conversation with Matt Greiner, the drummer for the band August Burns Red. Matt is an absolute rock star on and off the stage. Just a super dude. Just a super cool dude to chat with. He's been all around the world, toured nationally, internationally, and then the coolest thing about him is then he comes home and he does farming on the side, has a bunch of pigs, and just has a neat perspective when you are a person that's been, all over the world and then comes back to kind of Lancaster County. Just a ball to have a conversation with. So I hope you guys enjoy the conversation we have today. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching this. It's always cool that you guys continue to watch these and like these videos. If you have any recommendations of people that I can continue to connect and talk with, and if you have topics that you guys want me to talk about, be sure to put those in the comments. Or if you yourself want to come on the podcast, honestly, don't be shy. DM me or put something in the comments here. At this point in time, I'm down to talk with anyone, and we'll get you on here. So thank you guys so much for watching, as always, and I hope you guys enjoy this episode because it is a bang clang.
You said you're doing your taxes. What does your taxes look like? Like, as an artist, are your taxes weird?
Yeah. Well, as an artist, thank you for having me on your podcast.
Absolutely.
By the way.
Not a problem.
It's cool to do a podcast like
Have
this.
you ever done one before?
Yes.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's cool to do a podcast like this right down the road.
Yeah.
We live so close to each other. So, taxes as a musician wouldn't in and of themselves be all that odd.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of facets of income.
Okay.
Or a lot of facets of cash flow is a better way to say it, because I farm on the side and I teach drum lessons.
Really?
And I sell Greiner Farms hats and blast bells, and I do drum clinics.
Wait, what's a blast bell?
A blast bell is a 7-inch cymbal that I helped develop in 2010 through a company called Zildjian Cymbals.
Cool.
Who is a 400-year-old company.
No way.
And they had a successful bell called the Zill bell.
Yeah.
But it rings forever, and it's high-pitched and has a very true sound.
Okay.
And I wanted something more dark and dissonant sounding.
Cool.
So I drove up to Norwell with my ex-girlfriend 15 years ago, and I was like, here's the sound I want. I had like a cymbal to reference.
Yeah.
And the cymbal craftsman was like, okay, we can make one or 20. And so they take like a pod. I think it's called a pod. It comes out of an oven. It comes out of a closed door, and there's like 4 people that know how the metals are mixed. It's like Coca-Cola.
No way.
It's on lockdown. Well, the first thing you see is this pod, and from that, it's like a puck.
Okay.
They put it in an oven, and they heat it up, and they rotate it a bunch, and then they put it in water, and that changes the chemistry of the cymbal.
Okay.
Well, he did a ton of different options, like 20, seriously. Yeah. And I brought home all 20. I played one that was my favorite for like 8 years until there was enough demand in the marketplace that I convinced Zildjian to let me try it out in their concept shop.
Yeah.
It was successful there, and they rolled it out into the marketplace.
That's so cool.
And we've sold thousands at this point.
That's a win. So do you get a royalty off that?
I get a royalty off of that.
Let's go.
But people want the one-on-one, like, I'm communicating with you, I'm signing it, I'm writing your name on it, I'm hand numbering it, and I'm shipping it from my post office right down the street.
Yeah, dude.
So I buy them at a certain rate from Zildjian.
Okay.
And I have a price point that I have to price it at or above.
Gotcha.
So that I'm not competing with their pricing.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so they would have like a distributor pricing that's obviously lower, and then you'd have to put a markup on it so high.
Yeah, I think it's like $159.99. So I charge $160. And I get people from like
Wait, they charge $159.99 and you can go to $160 and not
I have to charge $159.99 or more.
Oh, or more.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I thought you were making a penny difference.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the?
No, I pay something like half that.
That's sweet.
And then I cover the shipping and the stripe fee and all of that stuff.
And that's like the cymbal on the drum, like the thing you're hitting up here.
Yeah, that's the bell. So it sits, in my case, it sits on my ride cymbal upside down with a felt in between it. There is a bell on a ride, but this is a separate cymbal that's easier to hit. It's easier to target. has a better sound, in my opinion, than the bell that's a part of the ride cymbal. So it's like an accessory.
For people
It's
that
like an
don't,
effects.
I obviously know what a ride cymbal. I have no idea what a ride. What's a ride cymbal?
Okay. Yeah, I forgot.
Like that's the one that's like.
I'm not on like a drum podcast.
No, you're not on a drum podcast. I love music, but I suck at it. Like I have no musical ear, no rhythm.
Yeah. Okay. Huh, I've never had to describe a ride cymbal. Not to say that, it's crazy that you don't know what a ride is, but I'm just trying to think, like, how do you explain how to walk? It's like that basic as a drummer. So I'm like, man, I'm trying to figure this out.
Because to me, in like drumming, you have your two cymbals up here,
Yeah.
and then you got all your drums here.
Yeah.
Is it one of those?
Yeah, it's one of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all we need to know. Yeah. There we go. We figured it out.
Which is kind of why I say it's like walking, because
Yeah.
it's so fundamental.
Yeah.
So you have your hi-hat
Yep.
and your
I know
ride
that.
cymbal.
I've heard of hi-hat.
Yeah.
Just not the ride cymbal.
Yeah, that's funny, man. Isn't it funny how you spend 20 years doing something, and like over 20 years doing something, and it becomes so second nature to you that even the most fundamental term is just like you take it for granted.
Yeah.
Like for you, you've done something for, like you just said, you haven't really your tendency isn't to specialize on one thing.
Correct.
It's to kind of broadcast more. So
Oh, dude, I get into the weirdest garbage. Like I learned how to ride the unicycle.
that's
as
cool.
like a 23-year-old.
Yeah.
It's like, what am I doing? I was in my driveway, like, I'm like, what am I doing? But yeah.
So was it hard?
Yeah, it's super hard.
Yeah.
It's really annoying. And I was like, why am I, like, what use do I have for this?
Yeah.
Like, am I going to commute somewhere on this thing? Like,
Were you a teenager?
at some point, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what do you,
At the time you did the
no,
unicycle.
I did this as like a 23-year-old.
Oh, okay.
Or
See,
whatever I did.
See, when I was a kid, I had phases.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Like before drumming.
Yeah, I still have phases. I just never grew out of that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I think, I don't know. I think that for me, the trick to success has been staying consistent
Yeah.
in my pursuit of excellence.
Yep.
Instead
That's
of
cool.
like spreading myself too thin. My tendency is to want to go mow the lawn because
Yeah.
it's instant gratification
Yeah.
instead of practice drums. But the more you can put that off and stay committed to playing, the better drummer that you'll be.
Yeah, that's something too where like I love like I am so ADHD, like I love instant gratification. Everyone does, but like
Yeah.
and honestly that's why like I've found I actually really enjoy podcasting, but I am kind of all over the place where it's like I couldn't just focus on one specific topic, and that's
Yeah.
why I love having people on that have different life stories.
Oh.
That's why I do.
a good point.
Yeah, that's why I do what I do, because it's like even in that you can still hone your craft of like as me as the host, becoming a better host, becoming a better interviewer,
Yeah.
asking better questions, but still being able to kind of fulfill that whatever that is
Yeah.
with bringing whoever you bring on as a guest.
Yeah, it's a podcast that you would like listening to.
Yes.
Huh. Yeah, that's cool.
So, yeah, I mean, we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know. So
How has it been for you? Have you been surprised by the conversations you've had with people, or is it like, man, people are really just all pretty much the same, regardless? Okay, people are really unique.
So that's a twofold question. At fundamental base of a human, we all struggle with the exact same things. That I've noticed across any person, any skill level, they still have the same tendencies. Some people learn how to develop systems to mitigate some of the negative tendencies and obviously perform at a higher level. So at the base, no, everyone really kind of struggles with the same thing. And I think just like as being a Christian, like you also have an understanding of like we're all trying to fill a void kind of, and it's like you kind of see that throughout people's lives and kind of the stories they tell. But then the diversity of people of like some people try to their success is in flying helicopters and everything, and then like I have a 23-year-old guy on and he's just like mowing some lawns and stuff.
Shout out to Carson.
Yeah, Carson's
Carson, I hope you're listening to this. I've enjoyed the many mornings we met at St. Leo's Church.
Did you listen to his?
I have not gotten the chance to listen to Carson.
Hilarious.
Is it?
Yeah, it's really funny. Like I grew up with Carson and I never knew how funny he was, and then he came on and it was awesome. What a
That's
blast.
so cool. I love that you do that. See, I'm friends with so many blue collar dudes. And I thought about this the other day. I'm like, why am I friends with people who have no idea what my industry is, like what my line of work is? And I think it's just because I relate to how they think and their just day-to-day work routine, lifestyle. Carson's one of those guys. I see him like once every, 6 months now, and we catch up within 2 minutes.
Yeah. They're just easy to talk to. They're something too, which I respect about like blue collar people. They're never above you.
Yeah.
Like it's always just like you can catch up instantly, like, hey, how are you? And it's just like, and it's not that they're like, simple by any means, but it's just that like they're just going through life. You're going through life, and it doesn't matter kind of where you're at. You just pick back up with them.
That's true.
Which is fun.
Yeah.
And I think you can just relate instantly and like have that good conversation. Where some people they have the tendency to kind of life's more of a competition, and I'm skiing in the Alps. It's like, who freaking cares? Like, that's awesome. I'm glad you are, but don't use it as a power move. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So,
that's cool.
How'd we get to there? What were we saying?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either. That's fine.
Oh, blast bell.
Oh,
and then ride symbol.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Taxes.
Taxes.
So I just dropped my taxes off. That's probably where that came from.
Dang. Yeah, because I was wondering, like, if you were a straight musician, how do you file your taxes? What is that? Are you self-employed?
I'm a little bit of everything. So
Okay.
I have 1099s. I have W-2s. There's a lot of different facets. So I hire a really good CPA to take everything and sort of condense it. The farming income is a Schedule
Brad
F.
Steinweg?
It's not. I've heard of him.
He used to go to your church, too.
Okay.
Yeah. That's who does our taxes.
That's funny.
Shout out to Brad.
Shout out to Jared Miller.
Oh, there we go.
My tax guy.
Nice.
So he's over here in Lidditz, and it's just easier to go to his office versus deal with someone remotely. Our business management for my band, I don't know, we haven't really set that up, but I played drums in a metal band called August Burns Red, and our business management is located in Tennessee.
Okay.
So some of the guys work with them, but it's easier for me having the farm income to work with someone local because there's so many receipts and just weird aspects of what I do that it's easier to go there, pop the papers on the table, and just kind of go over everything.
Cool. So who owns... This is so fascinating. I'm actually stoked about this. Who owns your band? Do you... Like, are you guys the owners, the members of the band? Or do you have like a label?
Yeah, so we do have a label.
Okay.
The label doesn't own the band. The 5 members of my band
Own the band. Cool.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing because let's say I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm out. And it was a company like, I don't know, Dutch Valley or a local company that was worth $10 million.
Yeah.
I'd obviously get paid something for that. But leaving August Burns Red, we have a contract and the severance or the payout there's no real value to the band's name in and of itself. The band produces revenue by touring.
Yeah.
For the most part, actually, by touring.
Really?
There's some royalties and that sort of thing. But unless we're on tour, we're not making a tremendous amount of money. So if I left the band, it would just be, okay, well, you retain your royalties from the past.
Gotcha.
It's a 22-year-old band at this point, and I've been in since the beginning. So there's a
Dang.
lot of albums,
Cool.
there's a lot of songs. But the royalty revenue is not a large piece of the pie.
Yeah.
So the ownership are the band members. But here's the interesting thing. So my wife and I just had a baby in 2022. And I knew that we were having the baby in September.
Yeah.
Back in February. So I reached out to our management, who happens to be 2 of the guys in the band. I said, guys, no one else knows this, but we're pregnant. Like, my parents don't even know yet. It's keep the secret, but we need to figure out a plan for September. We're going to Australia.
No
Someone
way.
needs to cover for me.
Yeah.
So we have a friend named Adam Gray who's a sick drummer, and it's a no-brainer that he's going to go. But here's the weird thing. The band went, and Adam played the shows. And I'm at home, and I was like, I wonder if I'm going to have FOMO.
Yeah.
I didn't have FOMO at all, which surprised me. But what surprised me more is that the band is a freaking machine and doesn't actually need me.
No.
It doesn't need me.
Yeah.
I was looking at pictures and videos, and it's like there wasn't a whole lot of commentary about, Matt's not here. People were actually stoked I stayed home.
Yeah.
Like, that's the right move. People were stoked that Adam's playing really well, and he's
awesome.
He's crushing it. But it wasn't a competitive comment.
Yeah.
It was like, dude, August Springs Red was awesome, which made me stoked.
Yeah.
Actually, because we've built this thing that exists without our involvement.
Yeah. Something bigger than yourself.
Yeah.
That's cool. Heck yeah, that's cool.
Humbling, but also, I think, telling of its strength.
Yeah.
Like, it's really not about one band member. Now, obviously, our front man, Jake, is a very important piece.
He's the lead vocalist, I'm assuming.
He's the lead vocalist. Okay. JB is the lead guitarist and really the visionary for the band and the main force, I would say. So if you remove someone like him or Jake, I think you have some speed bumps.
Yeah.
Some change in the trajectory. But yeah, it was pretty cool. It's like, man, I could like be a full-time farmer and August Springs Red would.
That's sweet. And I love that you're a farmer and a rock musician.
Yeah.
That's a cool
I was
combo.
loading pigs 2 days ago.
That's sweet.
Yesterday, which is the hardest thing I've ever done.
Really?
Yeah.
I've helped load pigs. Did you get the cool zapper and the board? What's the board called?
I didn't actually know that was a thing outside of our farm.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's
with
a
the
thing.
2 handholds?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my buddy, his...
I hate the zapper.
Really?
My brother gave it to me. I'm like, I hate loading pigs, and pigs are basically demons when you're loading. It's like being in hell.
Yeah.
But I don't like...
Yeah, there's
I
a
still
reason
don't like zapping
Jesus
them.
cast the demons into the pigs.
That's my brother said. It's still there.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, they're strong buggers.
My ankle's literally swollen right now from getting banged in between the concrete. We had an easy load a week ago. It's every Monday we're loading them.
Yeah.
There's 24 pigs. And the first week was easy. We're like, oh, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Start to feel good about yourself. And then last night we were on a time crunch. So I think the pigs got riled up. And I didn't realize that was a thing with pigs.
Yep.
But I think they can sense when something's happening too fast and they can't kind of pace themselves, and they just let loose. And
yeah,
it
dude.
was my 2 brothers and I just... My brother went from calling the pigs, come on, sweetie, to literally jumping on them.
Yeah, dude, pigs are smart, apparently. My one buddy, well, he's an acquaintance of mine. I grew up with him, going to school with him. He had 2 pet pigs. That was kind of weird for me, but apparently they're super smart. So,
just like in his yard?
No, in his house. They were like little potbellies. They got like this big. And he had him in his house with him. It was the strangest thing.
Man.
Winston and Hamilton or some shenanigans.
Cute names.
Yeah.
Not my idea of cute, though.
Yeah, not my idea of a pet.
Yeah.
That's my idea of some bacon, but whatever. Yeah, crazy. Yeah, they're buggers to load.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said. I'm curious what you have to say about this, having interviewed a lot of people, but for me, it's important that the farm is not a profitable thing in my life.
That's what all farmers say.
They do, and that's not true for a lot of farmers.
Yeah, because
But
you
in our-
look at them.
In our case, it's not.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, what were you going to say?
No, that's just so like every farmer I ever have talked to, like we grew up in rural Lancaster County. I know a ton of farmers. Oh no, this isn't profitable. Then why do you keep buying farms? Like, if you're not making money, how can you afford to keep buying farms? And then they use the silly line where, oh, we're not money rich, we're land rich. And it's just like, oh, shut up. Like, you're just freaking crazy. And then, they just build some monster barn that's like $4 million. And it's just like, okay, but clearly there's some sort of money here.
That's a good point.
And now everyone's building layer barns because eggs are through the frickin' roof. Apparently, like, if you could have got into layer barns like 3 years ago, you are
set
frickin' rolling right now.
Yeah.
'Cause-
yeah. That's funny. I'm not in a position to scale our farm, and out of my brothers, I farm with my 2 brothers, Ben and Jesse, and I would be the one that would be the risk taker to try to scale it, which it needs to be scaled if it's going to be lucrative, but
for sure.
It's lucrative enough that we keep doing it, and we love doing it.
Yeah.
It's a love for farming that keeps us farming, not the bottom line.
Yeah. How big is a farm?
It's 140 acres.
Okay. And what are you farming?
Cash crops
Okay, nice.
and 24 pigs.
Okay. 24 measly demons.
Yeah. But what I was going to say is with drumming's the hardest thing I've ever done.
Okay.
Loading pigs is actually harder.
Really?
I found that out. I like drove away last night. I was nauseous. I felt like I was going to pass out. My shirt was soaked, and I drove home. I thought, okay, so I just filmed a double bass course, which is when you're drumming, you can use both feet to play your kick drum. So I just filmed a whole 4-hour course on that. And in the course, I talk about how this is the hardest thing I've ever done. Well, last night was the hardest thing. It's like the hardest thing I can remember doing. It's in the top 50 of my entire life, which is pretty high.
Yeah.
But I think it's higher than drumming. And I think it's important to have a challenge like that because it gives you a metric for what's really hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
And with drumming, if it is the hardest thing, then when I'm doing it, I go, man, I hope I can do this.
Yeah.
But if you have something that's more challenging than that, you say, well, of course I can do this. Mm-hmm. It's not the hardest thing I've ever done. Loading pigs is way harder. I remember how that felt. And we did it, and we kept going, and we actually completed the job. So when I'm on stage playing or I'm filming a course and it's like game on, red light syndrome, I have to perform well, I have to get the parts down, I have to get the speech part right, I can do it.
Yeah.
Because I've challenged myself before with something harder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude, there's two avenues of guys, and you have those guys where they're like, do hard things, David Goggins.
Yeah.
I respect those dudes, but at the same time, they're like, this is the best thing in my life. It's like, no, just realize that what you're doing sucks.
Yeah.
Like, just admit that to me. And I'm okay doing those.
Yeah.
So, I'm kind of in two camps where it's like, but me and my brother did, cold plunging for,
oh, cool.
a stretch of time, and it sucks.
Yeah.
And it's, so painful. Because the thing is, we don't have, a tub in the summer to keep the water cool, so we just do it in the winter. And this winter was brutal, 1 degrees, and it's so painful, and it hurts, and it sucks every single time you do it. The thing I realized with doing that, and I know it's trendy to do cold plunges now because of Rogan and all the podcasters, but what I realized was when you subject yourself to hard things, you're more likely to do the mundane task of your life. Because that's all life is a lot of mundane tasks put together to actually accomplish something big. Even with drumming.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
It gets mundane because you always do it.
Yeah.
Then when you play for someone, it's this is the coolest thing ever. But it's you haven't seen the 9,000 hours I clocked dropping my stick and whatever.
Yeah.
And that's what I realized about doing hard things.
That was good. That's good drumming knowledge.
Yeah.
You said dropping your stick. That's something you don't want to do.
Yeah.
and you kind of have to practice so that you don't catch an underside of a cymbal, like a ride, for example. But you just said something. So I was at a men's retreat 2 years ago, and they talked about TOP.
Okay.
TOP stands for talent, opportunity, and passion.
Okay.
So I loved this. It was so relevant in my life. He talked about the word passion.
Yeah.
And he's like, what do you guys think of when you think of passion? Some people said, romance. Some people said love. Some people said, persistence. And what the speaker said in the end was it's a spectrum. And it goes from a very basic concept all the way over to pain. And while you walk that spectrum, what you see is mundane. Yeah. You see repetition. You see persistence, of course. You see some love in there. You see excitement. But for me, it's totally drumming. Yeah. Because in the winter, before I had the practice space I drive to the barn. Okay. And in the barn, there's no heat. And in Pennsylvania in the winter, it's very cold. Yeah. And so you go in there fully clothed in gloves and everything, and eventually you strip down. But at first, it's not fun. And when you leave your house and you drive 10 minutes to do that, the football game's on. Yep. Your wife's at home. The wood stove's hot. You have your ice cream and snacks and your couch. And it's just I don't really want to do this. Yeah. But you do it anyway. And that's passion. Yeah. Over and over and over and over again. And it's so boring and it's so mundane. And you just keep going. And it's actually not fun. It's painful. Yeah. And it's sacrificial. I just thought that was so cool. When you look at your life, can you get those 3 elements to align? Talent, opportunity, and passion. Young people typically have a lot of opportunity because they're young. They have a lot of passion, but they don't typically have a lot of talent in the thing that they want to do.
Yeah.
You look at older people in their work, and they have a lot of talent, not as much opportunity because they're, nearing the end of their time in the workforce, and the passion's like completely shot.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting.
It's cool. Like you go into a grocery store and you look at someone that's, the person behind the register, and you think, where do they fit in this spectrum? Where do I fit in this spectrum? In my work, in my hobbies?
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Dude, that's so true, because even too, like, and you probably deal with this as well, being a musician, like Instagram and like social media, it's a great thing because it can get your talent viewed by other people.
Yeah.
The thing with that is you don't realize, because you see a 5-second clip of someone shredding the drums, and you're like, this is the coolest thing ever. I want to do this. And it's like, okay, I'll take a drum. And it's like, no, this dude dedicated his life towards this. And like, it looks super cool to you, but there's been times where it's just like, it sucked for that dude.
Absolutely.
And there's this guy, Alex Hermosi. He's like a business dude. Ever hear of him?
Mm-mm.
Super good. He's I talk about him a lot on this because I think his business advice is super cool. He said that he wishes like a Musk or a Bezos would have documented their process from 0 to billions. And he's like, they didn't, so I'm gonna.
Wow.
Super cool guy.
It's a cool idea.
And he's just like a matter of fact. Like he's like, hey, I'm not telling you to do this, but it worked for me. It might work for you.
Yeah.
Try it out. And what he says, he's like, you have this cycle of learning where you have uninformed optimism, and that's when you start something, you're like, this will be so sick. A podcast. Oh my word. I can make money and do this and have a great life and meet Mr. Beast. And you have uninformed optimism. And then after uninformed optimism comes informed pessimism, where you're like, frick, this is a little harder than I thought. There's probably a reason why not everyone's doing this. And then he's like, then you have like the pit of despair. And he's like, that's where a lot of people stop. They never actually get good at something, and then they just cycle. They do that cycle. But he's like, if you can get through that pit of despair, you start then having informed optimism, where like you challenged yourself, you got over those hurdles, and now you can see that other side. And he's like, that's when it gets freaking exciting. And then he's like, even in what you continue to do, it's always that cycle. Like, could be because you push yourself to the next thing, and you're like, oh, I can do this. And it's a little harder than you think. And it was just a cool thing for me. Because,
that's a really good picture. Like, you can picture that as you're saying it. Uninformed optimism, informed pessimism, the pit of despair.
And then informed optimism. Super cool.
Huh. Yeah, I think that's true of us. If you like go back to being a kid and you think about the future, like if I go back to being a kid, I'm thinking about dating, and that girl's really pretty, and oh my gosh, I can't imagine if I talked to her and she actually liked me back, or like, man, I can't wait to drive. I can't imagine what that's like, having a car.
Yeah.
And you go through each one of those things where you're anticipating the future, and you're so excited about it, and then you get there, and at least for me, I have. I've dreamed a little too big about it. Yeah. And when I get there, it's like, that's it.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Okay.
Yeah, you make it this idol in your mind, and then it's like, oh, this is just life.
Yeah.
So it never meets your expectation because you hype it up so much.
But I think, hear me out here, that maybe God designed us that way so that we keep, like C.S. Lewis talks about this, where he said, when you fall in love with somebody, you can't eat, you can't sleep, you're just consumed by this person, but you can't live forever like that. So it's built into our DNA that at first you're just consumed by this person, and then you switch gears, and now it's a more, like you said, mundane. You're sitting next to your spouse, you're reading the newspaper. That's 90% of marriage. Yeah, and actually, hopefully, it is, because it's structure, and it's not toxic and crazy highs and lows. But I think that's really cool how you spelled that out with business, because I think that's sort of how God designed it to be. Otherwise, why would you ever seek someone out? Yeah. Or why would you ever go for it in business?
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like, even in marriage, if you were never naive and didn't have that incredible and uninformed optimism, you would never get married.
Yeah, I know.
Like, I just heard this thing the other day, and it's actually
You
kind
would
of
never get married.
yeah, like, that sounds bad. Honestly, hear me out.
Watch John Deloney, and the comment on his videos is like, this podcast or this is like the number one argument against getting married.
Yeah,
This show.
and I'm 100% pro marriage, but it's like if you actually
best thing
look
ever.
what marriage is and like the work it is and the failure rate nowadays. If you would flip that to investment and be like, hey, it's a failure rate of 56%.
Yeah.
Do you want to invest $10 million in this? You'd be like, no.
Yeah.
But it's cool because, yes, it is a God-ordained thing. And it's, even though it's, you have that uninformed optimism where you're dating and you're in that, romantic. Dude, I was such a turd when we were dating. I was like so romantic. And I was like, I'm always going to be like this. And I was like, what am I freaking doing? But then, you become like that informed pessimism, and not words, but it's just like, oh, you actually understand what it is to love, and it's not infatuation and flowering them with gifts, and quite frankly, when you're dating, trying to get in the other's pants, and it's just like, oh, it's sacrifice, and it's putting my needs on the back burner for this person's, and then you unravel that sweet thing and actually what like true love actually means, and like pursuing that. And it's not a feeling, it's literally a pursuit. And whoa, dude, what the flip? Why are we getting like like into that? My bad. What happened there? We just kind of got deep and
That's good, man. That's what it's all
world?
about. I mean, I'm a married man, and it's the best thing that's ever happened to me.
It's crazy.
If the band died today, or if I quit, or if things really fell apart, and I still had. The great way to put this is Tim Keller, who is one of my favorite pastors.
Yeah,
he passed away a couple of years ago. Are you familiar? Okay.
We read his book.
The Reason for God?
No, we had like a dating book.
Oh,
Shoot.
The Meaning of Marriage.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
Great
cool.
book.
Was that good?
Yes.
Cool.
Great book.
Yeah, he talks about how if your house is in order and you go out into the world and you get sacked at work or whatever, you get into an accident, you come home, it's terrible out there, but at least you're kind of not really all that rattled by it.
Yeah.
But if your home is a wreck, so in other words, if your relationships are screwed up and you're like, I don't understand what's going on here, this is terrible, I'm going to work. You get promoted, it doesn't really do it for you because you're still coming home to this, relationship that's battered.
Yeah.
And that really resonates with me because I've been through both. I've in the past, I've had some relationships where I did not handle things the way I should have, and I paid for it, and the relationship I have now, it's like, man, it just makes you so much more resilient no matter what you do. Yeah,
true. And then you can handle the garbage from the world because you have like a rock to come home to.
Yeah.
And interesting.
Yeah.
Now you kind of opened my brain up to it, so I'm going to go there. And you can say you don't want to talk about it, but as a rocker, that's what you're considered, right? Like, what's your genre? Christian
I like
rock?
that. That's cool. Metal. What is our genre? Metal. But more specifically, metalcore.
Metal. What's metalcore?
Metalcore would be metal. Broadly speaking, is like Metallica. And we'll say, oh, we're a metal band. Oh, so you sound like Metallica. No, you have to get more specific. So the core part would be, I think, from hardcore.
Okay.
Which is
that
more
makes sense.
Breakdowns.
Yeah.
Whereas metal refers to the melody. There's more melody in metal, and there's more breakdowns, chugs without the melody in hardcore. It's the combination of both.
Cool.
So we have heavy breakdowns where there are syncopated patterns that are palm muted and sound tight between guitars, bass, and my feet playing double bass. And you have melody, which is like JB, ripping a solo on top of maybe chords or rhythm.
Gotcha.
On top of that, you have Jake screaming for the most part, some singing here and there, but we're mostly a screaming band, which some people say, oh, so you're screamo.
Yeah.
But screamo is emo mixed with hardcore.
Okay.
So emo is like, now we're going back like 25 years, but like Dashboard Confessional and Newfound Glory and Taking Back Sunday, and old Under Oath, bands that sing and maybe scream and are very emotional in what they're talking about. And also scream. So screamo is kind of the hybrid of those. We are not a screamo band. We're a metalcore band.
Cool.
Yeah.
Dude, I have so many questions about just the band life.
Yeah.
So with that,
it's kind of a wild...
Yeah, how do you get to that genre?
It'd be like me sitting down with you and not really like thinking about what you do and not really knowing anything about it. It's really no different than anybody else. It's just for some reason being in this industry, it's hard to know what it's like. And once again, you think, oh my gosh, it must really be this thing.
Oh, dude.
Exactly.
Like, rocker, dude. These guys are freaking getting babes, and it's literally the single bachelor's dream to be a rocker.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's cool, because I love seeing a behind the scenes view of it and actually pulling out not all the bad about it, but like almost humanizing it. And like, hey, this is like a job.
Yeah.
That's sweet and fun. But I also like to romanticize it.
Yeah. There's some of that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some of the sensationalism.
Yeah, for sure.
But for the most part, it's us sitting on a bus, going from city to city. Our crew is setting up our equipment.
Yeah.
We go in for sound check. We like the way our ears sound, which is in reference to our monitors.
Yep.
We don't like the way they sound. We like the room. We don't like the room. Ticket sales are looking good. Ticket sales are not looking so good.
Yeah.
We play the show. We finish the show. We eat pizza on the bus and we go to sleep.
That's awesome.
Back in the day, those were the memories.
Yeah.
Van and trailer days, blowing wheel bearings in the trailer, pulling over on the side of the highway, figuring out like, how in the world are we going to get this part? Can we limp it on 3 wheels to the next show 400 miles away? There's black ice on I-80 in Wyoming. We heard a van flipped. Can we make it? Trying to get to Denver. Man, that was awesome. That band opened up for us. Where are they from? Oh, we're sleeping at the guitarist's house tonight. Like, those kind of things I think are where the real memories were made. Now it's as streamlined as possible, thankfully, because we're all in our upper 30s. Yeah. And don't want to sleep at someone's house while they're throwing a party and spitting sunflower seeds on us while we're trying to sleep on the floor on our air mattress that deflates overnight.
Was the party scene huge with your like crowd? Like I don't know, because
with my band?
With your band and even in that genre of music.
No.
Really?
No. I mean, we had our moments. Like I was born and raised in a Christian home where there was no alcohol.
Okay.
Ever.
Nice.
So when I went on tour,
or
when I went into the studio, it was like, okay, there is a Maxim magazine in the bathroom just on the vanity. I'm like, wow. All right.
Hello world.
And there's a 6-pack in the fridge next to like a bunch of Rebel. I'm like, whoa, okay. This is just so foreign to me.
Yeah.
It was so different for me. And so instead of diving into like what I wasn't used to or wasn't allowed to see or drink.
Yeah.
I just slowly watched and then figured out like, okay, what is it that I want to do?
Yeah.
And how is it working out for other people that are doing it?
Wow, that's like low-key responsible.
I credit drumming. Drumming kept me on the rails.
Yeah.
Drumming is like a very highly competitive, physical, not competitive, but physical thing.
Yeah.
And so I think for me, if I drank a bunch of beer and then tried to play a show,
you're gonna feel
I'm
like
mess
trash,
up.
all those carbs.
If I drink beer after we play, I'm gonna feel like crap the next day.
Beer's not it.
No.
But you mix up a nice fruity drink, maybe I'll get down with it.
Now we're talking.
I'm such a woman when it comes to alcohol.
Are you?
Oh yeah, I love the fruity stuff. I hate like hard man drinks, like whiskey straight, scotch.
Well, I saw some Jaeger over there.
Yeah, I have it. I didn't really drink much. I would love to.
I should have brought my Jaeger sweatshirt.
So my thing is, I would love, and this is kind of like the ADD or ADHD in me, bartending, flair bartending, where you're like flipping drinks. I think that's fun. I like the art of making drinks. I just don't want to pour beer in a can and like, okay, whatever.
Yeah. Do you do that? Like, do you
I'm
ever
trying
bartend?
No, I'm trying to. So my thing is, I would have loved to be a bartender, but I also grew up conservative.
Yeah.
For you, so I have a little bit of conviction.
Yeah.
About it.
A little bit.
Yeah. Well, so my thing too is like I came from an. We grew up at White Oak, like right up the road.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah.
Ladies wear their
My
hair
dad
up,
grew
like,
up at Chickies.
Super. Oh, nice. Yeah. Pretty
Yeah.
much the exact same thing.
Wait, we need to go into this.
Okay.
So both Church of the Brethren.
Yep.
My dad or someone had told me that if you lived on that side of Route 72, you went to Chickies.
And if you lived on this side,
You went to White Oak.
checks out probably.
Did you live on this side of
Well,
72?
I grew up in Denver, so yeah.
Yeah, you did.
Yep.
It's actually true.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Here we are.
On a podcast with 2 iPhones.
Yeah.
Talking about
In my
beer
living room.
and Maxim magazines.
the two freaking most vile sins
Yeah, right.
in a conservative mind.
Right.
That's awesome. No, I'm one, and now we're just kind of getting on tangents, but I've always been one to push the envelope. And not out of like a place of just like pure on rebellion, but like to figure out what I believe. And also, too, because I love to have a good time. I do. I'm not going to lie. I love to have a good time. And growing up, I never needed... Like, I didn't actually drink alcohol until I was after 21. I did it responsibly.
Yeah.
Like, actually.
So you waited until you were of age.
Yeah, because the only reason I did was because everyone at my church already thought I was drinking and doing drugs when I wasn't. I was just being goofy.
Wow.
Yeah.
They were just like, that guy seems really happy.
Yeah, he must be on
must be
something.
high.
Yeah. Dude, me and my one buddy.
Incredible.
Yeah, me and my one buddy. He was actually he started this podcast with me, Dawson. If you will listen to like some of the first episodes, they're trash, but it's me and him doing them.
You definitely get better doing
Yeah,
this.
and we were just like we just had a cool relationship. Like we were just always goofy, like always willing to have a good time. And yeah, a bunch of people thought I was on drugs and drinking a bunch. And
How did you know that? Like,
people would tell me.
Like, are you on drugs?
Dude, okay, this is the funniest story.
Would it be like passive aggressive?
No, you would hear from other people like, dude, this guy must be on something. It's like, no, I wasn't. Literally at a wedding I went to, stone cold sober. I love dancing. And it was like a college party wedding.
Yeah.
People, it wasn't an open bar, but people like brought flask and everything. And I just, like, I love dancing. So I'm dancing my freaking tail off on the dance floor. Drenched in sweat, and I also like intrusive thoughts are my love language, I think. And I had like this huge cup of water, and I was like, what the world? So I like start doing this dance, like, yeah, just soak myself. And this girl walks up to my wife, and she's like, and he's totally sober, and she's like, yeah. So that's just kind of like who I've been.
Oh man, that's awesome. That's just amazing to me though that people. I go on tour and I come back from tour and I see people doing the same things they were doing when I left.
Yeah.
It's a very unique vantage point because you see how people generally speaking are pretty bored.
Yeah, 100%.
They get really caught up in things that just don't matter. Politics, neighbors, you name it. It can be anything.
And because it's easy.
It's so
like
easy.
Playing
TV shows.
drums for 22 years is, like you said, it's freaking hard.
Yeah.
It's way easier to gossip.
Yeah, it is.
And trust me, I'm not ripping on those people. I struggle with
No,
those exact
and
same
I was
stuff.
about to say, I sink into that when I'm home for a while. Like I've been home for 3 months, and I'll walk in the house and I'll say to my wife, Annie, I can't believe our neighbor, hasn't mowed his yard yet.
Yeah,
It's
freaking dog.
Like, listen to what this is so, and then she starts to follow my lead, and I'm like, I hear her say it, I'm like, what are you doing, honey? And then I'm like, wait a second, I'm the one that said it.
Frick, I suck. Yeah,
it's just
dude.
human nature.
It is.
Yeah.
And okay, now, dude, we didn't even answer my first question, but now I'm on to another one. Growing up in Lancaster County, being from the conservative culture, you're getting judged, like for what you do, 100%.
Yeah.
What's that like mentally? Because even with me, there's been people that have told me, like, before I really even started the podcast, I like put out some feelers, and people are like, "That's so stupid. Like, why would you do that?"
Huh? Putting a podcast episode out, like having a podcast.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of my personality, where like,
Yeah.
I am a little bit more like flamboyant and like I make a loud noise.
Yeah.
So they have the right to judge me for sure because I'm being a doofus.
Sure.
But yeah, I found out that where people, a lot of times, and I could be inaccurate in this, but I don't think I am, is A, they actually think you're an idiot, and that's a fair point.
Mm-hmm.
B, they may just be jealous because they're just kind of letting life pass them by.
Status quo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they lash out.
Yeah.
But also too, if you throw it into your camp, you have the romanticization of the rock band, the party scene, and then conservative.
Yeah.
I would love to know what does that do to you mentally? Like, does that frick you up at all?
No.
Good for
No,
you.
not at all. No, because I gave up the idea a long time ago that I'm going to get people's support and affirmation in this. In the early days, you don't have their support.
No.
Because you're crazy for quitting college, quitting your landscaping job, and going on the road. Eventually, people give you their support because they see that you've made it.
Yeah.
And you've stayed consistently active as a band member. And they're like, wow, can I get tickets?
Mm-hmm.
And so then you realize, wait a second, this isn't actually about what I thought it was. All that aside, man, some of my best memories of this band are at the Barricade.
Okay.
So as soon as we're done playing, I get down and I talk to fans, typically in front of the stage. And there's a barricade that keeps our fans from getting too close and on the stage. It's just a safety measure. Plus, if you crowd surf, that's where you're going to land, and then staff takes you out. Security takes you out. So I go down there. What's that?
Have you crowd surfed?
I have.
That's sick.
It's been a long time, but I have. My wife actually just crowd surfed at Christmas Burns Red in December.
No way.
Yes.
Dude, I heard your Christmas performance is absolutely bonkers.
It's fun. You should come this year.
Absolutely.
We do 2 nights. It's in December.
So we missed it.
Yeah, look it up. What's that?
Well, we missed it for this year. I got to wait a whole year.
Every December.
Okay.
You just got to wait 10 months. But
sorry, I cut you off. Go.
No, it's okay. So after the show at the Barricade, I talked to kids about, man, I was really in a dark place, and I found your music, and I read your lyrics, and your music saved me.
Yeah.
It's something we hear a lot. Or, can you pray with me? Or I'll be talking to someone I can see they're really hurting, and it's like, man, I feel like, is it okay if I pray with you? And this is something that happens fairly often.
That's
city
awesome.
to city, country to country. So when I come home, I'll go to church and I look around, and it's like, man, we are so fortunate to have a church to come to where we're all being taught about, the Bible, and we're just in a very loving place, because there's a lot of people out there that are broken and hurting, and they want a family like this.
Yeah.
And I feel fortunate that I get filled up here at home with my family and my church, and I get to go out and do that for people, even if it's just one person. But there's so many, because music brings people in, and people feel like they can talk to you about things that they don't talk to people about normally, because they can relate, even though they've never met you. It's like, picture someone people that listen to this podcast, and they've never met you.
Yeah.
They know you in a way where if they meet you out and about, they shake your hand and they're like, oh my gosh, like, I really like this guy. And you know nothing about them, but they have a connection with you. It's like that.
That's sweet.
Over the course of 20 years.
Yeah.
So my neighbors on the farm, some of them are Amish. And word has gotten out here and there that, I bought the farm back in 2019, and that I'm the drummer in this metal band that tours the world. And now their farmland is adjacent to mine. Yeah. So we talk about it. It's pretty civil. I mean, it's pretty amicable. But I think, if people are going to judge me for that, they're going to judge you for being flamboyant.
100%.
And on the dance floor, they're going to judge me for, anything else. And I think, I don't know, just with this double bass course I just filmed, the one thing I taught is that you have to stop looking for other people's affirmation. Just stop doing that. Like, even in this podcast, if I walked in here and it's like, I hope this guy really likes me, I hope I do a good job on the podcast.
Dude, you may think this podcast is larger than it is. This is so low key, dude.
It looks and sounds great. I checked it out today. I'm stoked to be here. I really mean that.
Dude, I'm stoked you're here as well.
But if I came in here and I would have thought and felt that 5-10 years ago, then would that get us a better product or the same product or a worse product? I would argue it would get us a worse product because I'm trying to really be something.
And at that point, you're just trying to perform. And you're not, obviously, that sounds funny because you are in a performance base and so is this. But you're trying to perform and you're trying to read the other person. Okay, what do they want me to say?
Exactly.
What are they expecting?
Yeah.
And that's why I love, like, I write some notes down, but generally I wing all of the episodes.
Right.
Because it's like, okay, what does the guest want to talk about?
Yeah.
What do I want to talk about?
Exactly.
And we'll just go on these bizarre tangents.
Yep.
And it's just so authentic.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what...
It's a conversation.
Yes.
Like, you forget the mics here.
Mm-hmm.
That's the goal.
And I love that. Because I had a YouTube channel for, like, a very short time. And I bought a bus and I was going to convert it to an RV. And I was like, oh, I'll film this. And I found out very quickly that it was my nature to just try to, oh, well, this would get a click and this would get a like.
Yeah.
And I would start, like, freaking setting crap up that wasn't even real. And I was like, what am I doing? Like,
Sounds like social media.
I have 4 subscribers and I'm still trying to fake it. Like, no one even cares. Who am I performing for?
Yeah.
A lady in Utah? Like, what's going on?
Hey, she might really like it.
Yeah, who knows? But yeah, that's super interesting. I love that. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, it's very cool. I feel very fortunate to have the life I have.
Yeah.
Because I look around, my brother works his butt off, 4 kids. He's working for a church, not making a ton of money. His wife's stay at home. He's grinding just to make it all happen. And here I am making,
how much you
really
making?
good money. I was about to say $3 million.
Dude, let's go.
Yeah,
Heck yeah.
Talk about taxes.
Oh, dude. Brothers. Uncle Sam taken.
I make good money to do something that's really hard, but also I got really lucky to be able to have this job. And you can use whatever word there that you want. I think that the guys in my band are a huge part of it because they work their butt off and they've stayed consistent. But the fact that I even found them, I was a homeschooled kid in Mannheim going to Mannheim Central football games after I got done farming. So I got there late and I just happened to see these guys walking around with band tees. I think is how it was so random. Like, oh, I like that band too.
No way.
And we just organically start to talk about this thing. Well, I feel accepted into this group that I think is really cool. I start playing drums with them. We start the band.
That's cool.
And
that's super cool.
It's just so bizarre. If I wasn't doing that, then I'm doing what my brother's doing, and I'm like really fighting to make ends meet.
Yeah.
So I don't take any of this for granted. Like the fact that I'm even here doing this podcast, having some sort of influence in the music industry, my goal is like wherever I go, make the most of it.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, make the most of it because it's all worth it.
Yeah.
Mowing your lawn, practicing drums, it all counts. And I really mean that. That's a very important thing that I've learned over the last 20 years. It's like, don't just rush by someone just because they're not really somebody. That's something that gets really, that becomes very evident, which is why I'm at the church I'm at. My pastor, I knew that he knew about my band. We knew each other a little bit, and I could see him coming from stage to me to talk.
Yeah.
And you get used to like people wanting to talk to you because you're in a band.
Yeah.
You're really something. You're in a band, And it's like, oh man, here we go. And my pastor was headed for me, and there was a kid in the way. And just the way I phrase that is just indicative of like how people see this kid. Like he wants to talk and he's going to talk a lot. And he's going to talk about stuff and you're just going to listen.
Yep.
And so this kid says, "Hey, Bryce." And I'm standing here like 20 feet away. What's going to happen? Is he going to shoo this kid away?
The kid.
Yep, exactly. And he stood there and he just stopped and talked to him. And I turned and I walked the other direction. I left. And I've never told him that he did that and what that meant to me. But I said in my mind in that moment, that's my pastor.
Yeah.
Because, man, I want someone like that to be leading my church who it doesn't matter who's at the table.
It doesn't matter who's
You're
in the
sitting
crowd.
down to talk to him. The guy who's really, he's got a lot of money or he's got a lot of fame or you think he's really cool and you're going to rush by this kid who is an outcast or rejected or whatever. Like, I hate that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's so refreshing to see a leader or a pastor do something like that when they wouldn't have to.
Yeah.
And they're not going to get acknowledged for it.
And that's something too. You learn, and I'm assuming you learn this, and I have only heard this from other people, so
Yeah.
I don't actually know if this is true.
Right.
But I can almost guarantee it. You learn most people just want to talk to you because they want something from you, because they know you're famous, and hey, like, I can get this fame from association type deal. Like, I know Matt Greiner,
I talked to
and it's
him.
like, what the?
Yeah. Or
Dude,
tickets.
that guy doesn't give a rip about
Yeah.
you. Like, I hate to break it to you. Since
Yeah.
you said hi to Matt Greiner in passing.
Yeah.
He probably doesn't know who you are.
Yeah. Man.
But it's so weird. I fall
Yeah.
into that too. So, like, I like comedians.
I know. I do that too.
And the one time,
Who do you like?
I love Theo Vaughn.
Yeah.
Shane Gillis.
I actually just thought about Theo Vaughn as we were doing this.
Dude, the dude's mind is incredible.
Yeah.
He's a comedic genius.
Yeah, he is.
It might be the drugs that he did that fricked him up for a little bit, but I love it. Oh yeah, if you listen to like a couple of the first podcasts, I like took inspiration from him like
Really?
way too hard, and I like started like copying his voice. I was like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, I'm never gonna do him as
Yeah.
good as him. Why
Man,
am I
isn't
trying
that
to do
funny
this?
though? Because he's so unique.
Yeah.
And you were trying, and he was probably thinking at one point, man, I need to change my voice. It's
Yeah.
weird. And here you are, like, man,
Yeah. What's up, Raleigh Mal?
that's really good, dude. Let me hear some more of that. And there he is interviewing, everybody.
Yeah. But me and my buddy went down to Topgolf the one time, and we met Shane Gillis. And then we come back, we're like, we met Shane Gillis. It's like, dude, Shane was drunk. He's not going to remember us. He could care less who we are. Like,
Yeah.
what does it matter if
Yeah.
we said hi to this guy and it's just like, but you fall into that.
Yeah, I know.
And that probably comes from like everyone wants to, I don't know, have a certain amount of like acknowledgement and feel like they matter in the world. And if they can tie themselves to someone that is famous and a lot of people like to follow, they probably feel that.
Mm-hmm.
I think so, because that's probably what I would say
Yeah.
if someone asked me.
Yeah, it's cool. It's like what are the things that you come home and you can't wait to to tell your wife about, like the work you did today. Like, I can't wait to tell her that like this happened.
Yeah.
It's that same sense. Like, you're just so stoked that this thing happened. I think that for me is not musicians, it's athletes.
Really?
Like, I was at an award show years ago, and Russell Wilson walked in. And I was up in the stands, and I literally stood up. I couldn't even control myself. I just stood up, and I go, Russ! And I pointed at him. He didn't do anything, but on the way out, I did it again, and he pointed up at me. And it's like, does he remember that? No, of course not. But
you do.
he saw
Heck
me,
yeah,
and he
that's sick.
pointed at me.
Mhm.
And I will never forget that.
Yeah.
And so, therefore, what happens? That sticks with you. And so when someone talks to you in a way, it's like they think you're cool. Give them that sense of like, hey, first of all, I'm no different.
Yeah.
And second of all, tell me about yourself. Like, take interest in what they're doing. Because it goes a long way, man. It can pick somebody up.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, yeah, it's funny because when I come home and I farm and I'm loading pigs, it just reminds you that it doesn't mean anything. Like, COVID reminded people of that. People really fell apart if they were used to the limelight.
Yeah.
In COVID, because they didn't hear the applause and they didn't get the recognition, and they felt the bass, like they fell to that baseline.
Yeah.
And they had to figure out, like, who am I at this point? That's kind of what it is when you're pushing pigs out of a pen. Who am I?
What am I doing? Zapping this pig in its rear end. Dude, this is so random. Would you know Ryan Good by any chance? Went to Middle Creek, worked for Middle Creek Builders. You low-key look like him.
Ryan Good?
Yeah.
Okay. Boy, that's a very familiar name.
Yeah,
but
Good and
Yeah.
Ryan, two very
I'll look him
Lancaster
up later.
County names.
Facebook stalk him.
That guy. You look like him.
Yeah.
He married the farmer's daughter that we rent from.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he
Okay.
lives like right up the road.
Huh.
But
Yeah, I don't recognize the name.
it's also cool because you look blue collar, and you're like in this rock band that's like popular and tours the world. That's neat. I like that a
You
lot.
know what's funny about that? My wife the other day said something, and I got defensive.
Oh yeah.
Which means it hit a nerve.
Uh-oh.
But she's like, she's like, yeah, I think we were fighting about something, and she's like, of course I like you, which is why I'm like, I think we were fighting, because she was like
defending her.
She was like reinforcing the fact, of course I like you. I like that you don't care about the way you look.
Oh.
And I'm like, huh? She's like, you don't really care about like what you wear. And I'm like,
You look bad.
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
I was like, what? And of course, it comes off as strong, which it is strong, but it's also true.
Mm-hmm.
In a lot of ways, it's true. But it was weird for me to hear someone say that about me. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a true thing, but when you hear someone say it, you don't like the way it sounds. Like maybe you know that you're charismatic, but if someone were to say, you're really charismatic, man.
Yeah.
Like,
it also depends on their tone. Like, oh, you're charismatic. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Jerk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know it though. Literally, and that's the thing. Like, first impressions matter, and apparently, I just give off like horrible first impressions because I am goofy, and people are like, "This guy's an asshole," and it's just like, sorry, like, I'm not trying to be. I'm just having a good time.
I would never say that about you. I think.
Well, that's good for the 40 minutes you've met me.
I think that people attribute to evil what they should just attribute to just being, ignorant or dumb.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, some of the people I've met come off really stoic in this area in Lancaster County. And it can come off like they're a jerk.
Yeah, snotty.
Terrible person. But when you get to when you get to know them, my goal becomes, can I make that person laugh?
Yeah.
That's like my prerogative at that point. Prerogative?
Yeah, I think
my
so.
goal. So one time I was asked, are you making any money farming? Which is such an incredible question, like to be asked by another farmer.
Yeah.
Once again, we're back to the money stuff with farming. And I responded the way no one responds as a farmer. And I said, tons. And the guy's so straight facing me. And he's like looking, like trying to get a read. And I'm like, I'm swimming in it.
I'm making so much money.
And guess what? He laughed.
Yeah.
It was incredible. I'm like, yes.
Oh, yeah. And I think that's even fun to do. Like, I'll do that sometimes where it's the exact same thing with plumbers. Oh, you're a plumber. You must be rolling in it. And it's like, no. Like, yeah, sure, we charge you a decent amount, but I'm not making that.
Right.
But yeah, you're always like, oh, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and I heard it put this way, and I forget, it was probably by Alex Hermosi, but he's like,
who's that?
That business guy I was talking about earlier.
Yeah, okay. Alex Hermosi.
And he literally was like, if someone was like, because a lot of, like, he's super successful, started a ton of gyms, jack dude, like, good looking guy, and everyone would come up to him and be like, oh, you just have natural genetics. And he's like, dude, I know. I hit the lottery. And he's like, because instantly it already kicks them out of the race. Because he's like, they think you didn't put 5,000 hours into.
Yep.
And he's like, if you tell them like what actually happens, they might go and do it. But if you're like, oh yeah, my genetics are awesome. And like money just comes so easy. So funny.
I know. Yeah, that's this group of Anyway, this particular person was very stoic up until that point, and I've just been able to like keep cracking jokes.
That's awesome.
Like very conservative family, and they ask about people taking drum lessons from me all over the world.
Yeah.
How does that happen? And I explain it a little bit. And then, all right, we say our goodbyes. They're turning around and say, hey, by the way, if your boys would ever be interested in drum lessons, let me know. Well, okay, there's no such thing as musical instruments in their church. Like, never going to happen.
Yeah.
But it breaks the ice,
Yeah,
and it just
for sure.
keeps it normal, because they're the, that guy's got the same issues you do. It's just, there's this barrier from probably years and years of farming and sharing the same, fence row.
Yeah. And I heard that too.
I just like breaking that down.
Yeah. And you're in an industry where there's like, I forget who said this, but it was like there's a couple things that spanned all cultures, all languages, and it's like laughter, food, music,
Huh.
I think those were things where it's like you don't need to understand them, but if something funny happens, you'll both laugh. If a melody plays, you can both be like, "Whoa, this is awesome."
Sing.
And my thing is like, I just love trying to make people laugh. Like that's my niche. I think it's funny and so
It makes
like,
for a good podcast host.
yeah. And the thing with that too is since it does cross all boundaries, people have come on here that I never have met, and I've been able to have like an incredibly deep conversation with them on things. Like one guy told me something where he's like, "I've never shared this before."
Wow.
And it's like all because I was a goofball and he felt comfortable sharing something with me.
Yeah.
That's huge.
That's true.
Like,
yeah, that's true.
that's
It does
awesome.
break down.
Yeah. It
barriers.
makes people comfortable.
Yeah.
And then, you can actually have a legitimate, like, deep conversation with them.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you come off as, like, super deep right away, it's like, oh, you're just a prick.
Yeah. What's it like for you?
We are rocking, like, 809. Just
Okay.
to let you know.
Yeah, thank you. What's it like for you in your personal life, maybe in your marriage or in your friend group to have that? I would describe it as like a high.
Yeah.
Like my friend Caleb Kilmer is one of the funniest people I've ever met. Amazing dude, is just so funny, and he I haven't really ever seen him down.
Yeah.
But I know it happens.
Yeah.
What is your normal resting, like your resting heart rate, quote unquote, but in terms of your emotions and your personality, like are you at like a steady baseline, or do you sink low because you go high, if that makes sense?
No, so to back that up a little, my wife always gets asked the question, like, what's it like living with Jeffrey?
Yeah.
Because everyone just thinks it's this roller coaster every
Yeah.
day, which, like, it can be, but like you said, you live in mundane life.
Yeah.
So it's like, I got a baseline, but I'm always, like, ripping jokes.
You make her laugh.
Yeah.
Okay.
All the time.
And that feels good for you when she laughs at your jokes.
Yeah, but I get to the point, like, pretty much who you see on this is who I am pretty much anywhere else.
Yep.
And she can tell you, it's like, okay, you've cracked too many jokes.
Yep.
Like, just be serious for a little
I've
bit.
heard that a couple times too. Yep.
And
Relax.
Yeah. Because I love it. Like, it cracks me up.
Yeah.
So if I
laugh
can
at
make
your
a
own
joke
joke.
about something, I'm gonna, because
Yeah.
I rather laugh than just not laugh.
Yeah.
Because it's better to laugh. So, like, I love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously I can come down a little bit. My thing with that is, touching on what you said, I think I can feel a large range of emotions. So, like, there's been times where I got, like, mega depressed.
Yeah.
I don't, like, show that in public because,
Yeah.
I'm usually pretty bubbly. But, like,
Yeah.
since you have those highs and,
Yeah.
like, I'm always kind of riding up here, then, like, sometimes when you get low, you get freaking low.
That's the same thing with being a performer. I thought about this the other day. We get this super high. I mean, your heart rate's at like 140 as a drummer. You hear the applause. There's immense pressure. Stakes are high. Fight or flight kicks in.
Yep.
Palms are sweating. It's nuts. And I think a lot of people don't experience that level. And I think what happens is then it creates this range that's a little bit broader.
Yeah.
So then when you swing the other direction, the pendulum just hits a different side. It swings further out. And I think the same could be true of comedians, because there's this super high and maybe there's a super low.
Dude, I love music so much. I've watched so many, like, clips and everything. Like, I appreciate music a ton. I'm terrible at it, though.
Yeah.
But have you ever seen Three Doors Down, where they're singing? It's their one concert, and it's like "Here Without You, Baby" song. Guys drenched in sweat, lights are out, and the camera just pans across the crowd. This lady is in her feels, just bawling, and I'm like, that must be the sickest thing to feel. Like
From stage, you mean?
Yeah,
to
from
see
stage.
that.
And, like, there was another one where it was the Goo Goo Dolls playing Iris in the Rain.
Yeah.
Dude. Just like an electric feel. Like, I'm a huge experience guy. Like, I could care less about money. I could care less about pretty much anything. I will do anything for a good experience.
Huh.
That's
Is that
like,
right?
Oh, yeah.
Huh.
Wow,
that's interesting.
Love experiences. And I think that's why I like the podcast, is because it creates opportunity, it creates experiences where I can talk to cool people, and maybe something else will come from it. I don't know.
Oh, dude, this is the best idea. This is a great idea for someone who wants to have experiences and meet new people.
It's
and
just a blast.
Branch out.
But yeah, I love the emotion that like those guys must be just like it has to be so cool.
Yeah. I don't have a lot of those.
What?
Because playing drums is so mechanical.
Oh, true.
Like I am a musician, but
Yeah.
I think drumming is one of the least how do you say it? I'm a very mechanical musician because drumming can be very mechanical. Like the rhythms that I'm playing, I'm literally hitting things. You know, and it's just very mechanical. So when I'm playing, my personality too is very performance based. So I want to play really well. I want to be focused. I want to know what I'm doing. I want to play to the best of my ability. I'm not going to get caught up in what's happening elsewhere. There could be, the stage could be falling over, which actually has happened in Hawaii. The stage fell out from underneath of me. It was built on cinder blocks. And we're playing the beginning of Empire, and all of a sudden I feel my riser start to go back. I'm like, oh my goodness, what is it? And I kept playing. I didn't stop. I'm like, and then we got these huge dudes to like push pool tables up against the back of the stage to like reinforce it so we could play again.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's this dude, I don't even what's the song from Arctic Monkeys? Do you know Arctic Monkeys at all? Or it's like in the beginning.
I don't know their music as much as I know they were on our first record.
I think it's something Wanna Know.
Okay.
We Wanna Know or something. Dude, it's the coolest. It is literally, and then maybe it's just because I like fantasize about this and romanticize it. Lights are out, and the start of the song is just this guitar coming in and just like, I'm going to see if I can pull it up because it is nasty. Lights are out. Lights flash and people just go bananas. And I was like, I would love to experience what that feels like.
Like as the musician.
Yeah. Like what is he experiencing? What's the high, the dopamine hit running through his mind? Because we went down to Nashville. Have you ever been to Nashville?
I have.
As a musician?
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
There was this dude.
Nashville.
It's such a cool city.
Yeah. If I didn't have strong ties to here, I'd go there. What did you say about Nashville?
It's a young man's city.
Yeah.
As a married man, I'd struggle a little bit. There are some gorgeous women, and there's bachelorette parties everywhere, and there's drinking, and there's partying, and but it is so cool. The music's awesome, and there was this dude killing it on a guitar. I don't know if he was on drugs, but he looked like he was on some drugs, and just like in the zone.
Yeah.
It was such a cool.
Yeah.
I need to get a TV for here that I can like project stuff up on.
Mm-hmm.
Do I want to know? Yeah.
Do I want to know?
Yeah.
Okay. Huh.
Let me see here. Okay, this is gonna be a little tricky for you to see, but
You're good. Nice little build. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I know the song.
in crushes.
It's really catchy.
So sick.
That is cool. Yeah, man, music's a incredible thing. I sometimes will just forget about music for a while. Like I'll be driving with the radio off, or I'll just be in silence, and then I'll get home and I'll hear something. Someone will send me a drum cover or something drum related. Maybe it's like Adele in the background or something, and I'm like, holy cow. I can't believe I just didn't listen to music for like 3 days because it just changes the room. Yeah. It changes.
Oh, exactly.
Changes everything. And you miss it a lot. If you miss it a lot, for me, I miss it a lot when I hear it. Yeah. And then I kind of forget about it. You know, life's busy and you're going here and there and everywhere. But I'm really just amazed at what music's able to do. Like the potential of it. In church, it's used in a way to worship God. It's used for good. And then music can be, high and low and everywhere else.
Yeah. Dude, honestly, it's so funny because like you said before, you can instantly feel like you connect with the artist on a level that like no one else can relate to you because they went through something and the lyrics just like connect with you. Not that breakups are fun.
Yeah.
But when you listen to a breakup song after you've broken up, dude,
It's just what you
it
need.
hits so hard.
Yeah.
It's like you bawling your eyes out like, they just get me. And it's incredible. Like,
Yeah.
it's the coolest experience.
Mhm.
And when you can put songs to experiences you had, instantly you relate.
Yeah.
Dude, so awesome.
So
And even-
so you're a lyrics. Are you a lyrics guy? Like when you listen to a song, that's what you hear. And think
lyrics
about?
and like beat. Like, I love
Okay.
like sassy black woman music
Uh huh.
where it's just like thudding and like,
Uh huh.
and I love electric like upbeat music because I feel like it keeps me energetic. It keeps me in a good mood.
Yeah.
But then I love like "Hurt" by Johnny Cash. You know that song?
Oh yeah, of course.
Oh.
See, I don't really hear lyrics. Like my sister
Yeah.
would make fun of me because I don't know lyrics well. Because
Yeah.
when I hear a song, I legitimately don't hear the
That's
vocals.
not what you're focusing on.
No. Now Johnny Cash, I
Yeah.
am because there's not actually a whole lot else happening.
Yeah.
But in a song, you know, a regular, not a regular song, but a rock song or pop song.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not what I focus on. I
Yeah.
hear all the accents, I hear the rhythms, I hear the syncopated patterns, time signature.
See, I'm not that technical.
Right.
Like, so I can't.
I can't not hear it.
Yeah.
That's why I can't
Yeah.
I can't listen to music all the time. Cuz for me I'm like analyzing
Yeah.
the music, how it sounds and what's being played, and it's not just like one conglomerate wall of
Yeah.
sound, it's like pieces.
Yeah. That's cool. I feel like that's a blessing and a curse, though.
It is.
Like, that's neat.
That's why I have silence when I'm driving a lot of times.
Really?
Yeah, my sweet wife just sits there with me. She probably wants to turn on, you know, music.
Yeah.
But for me it's just a nice peaceful thing just to have that.
Yeah. That's funny because even with this, and I don't know if maybe all artists kind of like deal with this, I don't listen to podcasts. Like, that's something I don't really do, and it sounds bizarre because I'm literally doing one, but I don't listen to him that much.
Huh.
Like, I'll listen to Theo's a decent amount because
Yeah.
he's funny, but like,
Yeah.
I'm not like huge podcast
Huh.
guy.
So what do you listen to? Do you listen to music?
Music all the time.
Okay. See, I don't really listen to music or podcasts. I listen to some podcasts, like conservative talk show radio podcasts. But recently, what is it I've been listening? Oh, I've been listening to John Deloney, which I guess is kind of a podcast, but I go in waves with things where, like, I'm working with some teenage, like young adult men who are looking for some direction as far as the music industry and just, you know, life in general. And I find myself listening to people that help me understand things so that I can speak to problems I don't really have solutions for.
Cool.
So like it's almost, that's what I do for fun oftentimes. It's not like a break. It's like, no, actually this is really cool to me that I can figure out what this person would say.
Huh.
That's what I find relaxing.
Interesting.
And then like crime, like 48 Hours, like Dateline,
Oh, what the?
like crime shows.
Oh, I thought you said crying.
No,
and then
no,
you were
no.
like 48 hours, and I was like, you're crying
No,
for
no,
40...
no.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Crime, like
Crime, gotcha.
Yeah, like who kidnapped, you know, so and so, and they.
Did John Wilkes really kill Abe Lincoln?
Yeah. Do you know?
I'm assuming. Crazy.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yep.
So cool. Well, we're sitting at 8:20. I took up more of the time than you originally wanted. So.
Well, yeah, it's not even a one. It's just a.
You got other stuff.
I'm excited that I get to. At the end of the day, I'm excited that I get to do a lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
Including this podcast. I'm excited I get to go home to my wife, my little girl, and then tomorrow, you know, 2 days from now, go to the cabin and work on wood, and then 5 days from now, I get to come home and practice drums and settle into 4 hours a day of practice, and like that's what life looks like for me right now.
That's sick.
And I guess I'll end by saying, in closing, if you're watching this and listening to this and you're wondering what the takeaway is, what I hope the takeaway is for this episode, for me personally, it's that it doesn't matter where you are or what you're doing. Skills and character are transferable. And what you are doing now can and will produce something that you'll use down the road. And you might not be where you want to be right now, but you probably could be soon or at some point. So use this opportunity to get better and do better and work hard and learn how to do the right thing, regardless of what your past is, regardless of where you're coming from. For me, I feel really fortunate to be where I am, but I don't take for granted the fact that I might not always be this way.
Yeah.
And it wasn't always this way. So thanks for having me on,
Absolutely, dude. It was a blast. Thank you so much for coming on. And guys, go check out August Burns Red and their tour. Are you touring recently?
We're touring
soon?
the end of March. I
No
leave
way.
for 7 weeks. Yeah.
Where are you going?
Full U.S. and Canada.
For you? What is that?
Full U.S. tour.
Oh, full U.S. Dude, I'm not hearing
Full U.S.
That's
and Canada. Cool. Yeah. Bunch of states and I don't know, it might be between 30 and 40 shows.
No way.
7 weeks.
That's sweet.
Mm-hmm.
How does your wife take that?
Well, I was about to say, it's sweet. Excuse me. It's sweet, but it's also tough.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I'm a homebody and I have a little girl at home.
Yeah.
And my wife is going to be home alone. So she's really good with it. And she'll get to come see me and visit,
Cool.
which is great. But she knows what she's doing at this point.
Yeah.
Like she knows she's married to someone who's
Yep.
going to be leaving and coming home.
It kind of came with the territory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when I'm home, I'm home.
Yeah,
like
that's
you're,
awesome.
You're going to work tomorrow for 8 hours. I'm home for the most part. So
Unless you're in the barn pushing pigs.
unless I'm in the barn pushing pigs, then then I can't wait to get home.
Awesome, dude. Well, hey, thank you so much for coming on, dude.
Absolutely,
Absolutely
man.
blast.